You're listening to Raceway Ministries Today. Thanks for joining us for Raceway Ministries Today. In just a few moments, we're going to give you the latest of what's going on in motorsports outreach through the National Fellowship of Raceway Ministries. Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to this episode of Raceway Ministries Today. Raceway Ministries Today is the platform that we use in Raceway Ministries to just kind of get online and talk a little bit about what's going on in the racing community and what we do as far as going there to share the good news of God's grace and love in the Lord Jesus Christ with people in the motorsports world. I'm director of the National Fellowship of Raceway Ministries, and we love getting online with people that are involved in the racing ministry out there across the United States. And so that's what we're going to do here this morning. If any of you need to find out more about Raceway Ministries, you can go to our website, racewayministries.org. And then you can go to our Facebook pages. We have several different Facebook pages, and a lot of our teams have Facebook pages as well. But you can go to Raceway Ministries. That's the name of our primary Facebook page. And then we also have another one called Raceway Ministries at the Weekly Short Track, which brings me to our guest this morning on our podcast, who is Noah Manship. Noah is the chaplain. Hang on, Noah. My phone's pinging. It's early in the morning. I'm already getting texts from people, so I've got to shut this thing down. So bear with me here.
Oh, you're all right.
Tell you, the electronic world we live in, you know.
I get you.
Anyway, Noah is chaplain at the Charleston Speedway in Illinois, and also the director of Amazing Grace Ministries. And I'll let him tell us a little bit more about both of those things in just a moment. But Noah, it is fantastic to have you on the Raceway Ministries Today podcast today. And I understand you are in sunny Florida today.
Yeah, good old Lakeland, Florida, visiting my uncle, my dad's brother, and going to be beach bums for the week, I think.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hope it's not too hot there, and I hope there aren't any potential hurricanes coming toward the Florida coast today. Maybe it'll be gorgeous, beautiful weather for you and your family. I sure hope so.
Yeah, that's what we're praying for.
All right. Well, good deal. Well, thank you so much for jumping in on the podcast this morning. I would just like to talk to you a little bit about you and the ministry and what God's called you to do there at Charleston Speedway. But before we get into that, I have to get this out of the way, okay? Your name, Noah Manship, fascinates me because when I look at your name, Noah Manship, I think of Genesis, and I think of the Bible, and I think of the Bible character Noah, and I think Noah was God's man called to man the ship, all right, the ark. So when I think of, your name is easy to remember, Noah Manship, because I think God's man appointed to man the ship. So is there any background to your name?
There really, it's kind of funny. I always tell this story too. It's funny you bring that up. My parents got divorced when I was 2, but my mother's maiden name, the biological mom's her maiden name was Fish.
Fish.
Yeah.
that even adds to the story. Right. Wow, that's crazy.
My dad, I don't know that there's any truth to it. When we asked my dad about it when I was a kid, he used to tell us we were German shipbuilders. I've never heard that for sure, but that was the joke he told me and my brother.
Okay, all right. Well, all that kind of fits your personality because you are a funny guy. I mean, I've watched your YouTube video interview on the golf cart there at Charleston, and I visited with you on a couple of our Zoom meetings that we've had for a short track. And I love your sense of humor. I love your personality and all that. Your mother's maiden name being Fish, and then you being Noah Manship. I mean, all that fits. So, wow, what a deal. What a deal. Well, listen, I, I'd like to spend the next half hour talking a little bit about you and your ministry, Amazing Grace, and what you do there at the Speedway. Twofold purpose here. One is just so everybody can get to know you a little bit better. The other thing, though, is we have a lot of people that are new to ministry at the short track, and maybe they're aspiring to be short track chaplains. And they're longing to learn a little bit about how it works, how you get into it, and what works out there when you're doing a chaplain speedway. I mean, what does the job involve? That kind of thing. And then we have other chaplains that are experienced, but it never hurts to hear some new ideas and find out some new things about raceway ministry work at the short track. So that's kind of what our purpose is today. My first question would be, though, how did you get started in doing ministry at a racetrack? I mean, how did that even come about in your life? Not necessarily there at Charleston, but just in your life. How'd you get involved in it?
Well, I think that God has a way of humbling us sometimes. I've always said that.
Yeah.
The the moment that really got it started, I got saved when I was 12.
Okay.
I grew up in the church, got called into the ministry by the time I was 14, 15. I started preaching at 16 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Traveling different churches. And then I got married right out of high school. I'd fallen short. My wife at the time was, girlfriend at the time got pregnant. I
Okay.
had waited till marriage. And we had a baby. We got married and had the baby. We're married 10 years, had 2 kids together. And come home from work, she wanted a divorce. She was done.
Wow.
And it was 2017. I went through that divorce. It's probably one of the hardest things I'd ever went through in my life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Having 2 kids and wanting to make that marriage work, and it just wasn't something she was wanting to do anymore. So
Yeah. Okay.
I was in a pretty dark place. My brother Dwayne, who's really close to me, he's 3 years younger than me, but very close to me, got me out of the house, going to basketball games and doing stuff. It was like, you've got to start living again. You can't just be like this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy,
So
what good counsel from your brother. Wow.
And that's coming from somebody that don't go to church. He's not in church.
Yeah.
But he knew what I needed, and he got me back to the racetrack. I went to
Okay.
the Holy 200. It was being ran at Salem. That was 2017. And I was walking the pits, and there was a guy that I knew. I knew his wife, Allison, was his wife's name. But Justin Hurdle runs a street stock over at Salem. And I got to know Justin that day just a little bit. I knew his wife for years. Her mom and my parents were best friends. And Justin, I got to going around and hanging out with him, and he said, "What are you doing this week?" I said, "I'm just here to watch." And he said, "No, you're here to work." And he put me to pushing the car around in the pits. And anybody that knows me, I don't know anything about cars. I'm not mechanically inclined there. But Justin kind of, even if he didn't know it, took me under his wing that day, that weekend, and I fell in love with racing again. And I got to meet Justin Hurdle. So that was the last race of the 2017 season there in
Okay.
Salem. And Justin had introduced me to Rob Lee,
Oh,
who
yeah.
was the
Yeah.
chaplain there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Through this whole time where I'm going through things and through this divorce, where I'm at spiritually is I'm trying to get right with God again and get where I need to be again.
Sure.
And I'm not preaching anywhere at the time. And anybody that's went through that, maybe you felt the same way.
Sure.
I didn't feel the need to be used. I didn't feel the calling. I didn't feel like I was being called. 2018, I had got my season tickets there at Salem, and took my son Andrew, who loves racing, with me to every race.
Yeah.
And we fell in love again with the track that I grew up at.
Yeah. Good.
I love that place. But 2018 started. The end of that year, my mom, who owns a beauty shop, had cut this girl's hair named Shelby. And I'd known of Shelby. I knew her mom. She had died of a brain aneurysm the year before this. And I knew her mom really well. But I didn't know Shelby very well. I just knew of her. And we started talking in 2018, November. My mom had said, "Did you ask if I knew who she was?" Then she'd come into the shop, and I knew of her, so I sent her a friend request. We started talking, and the rest is history, I guess. We're married now. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
6
Okay.
old. But when that went on, 2019, I knew God had some big plans, and that was in the work. I really think back in 2017 when I met Rob at the racetrack, and in 2018 when we seen him at the track and the involvement there. And God had made some big changes in my heart, I think, in 2019.
Yeah.
So I got married, got called into preaching in church again,
Okay.
which I didn't think was possible just 2 years before this at all.
Yeah.
But God made me see my value again. So racing gave me that back. My wife gave me that back, getting married to Shelby. And then KMO, the church, and the KMO, Kentuckiana Motorsports Outreach with Rob Lee,
Yeah.
and partnering with them, and then getting to Thunder Valley Raceway and getting to do that. So it was all started by being humbled in 2017.
Okay. All right. Hey, listen, I want to just point something out for our listeners. And a lot of people have been through what you have gone through, Noah, and that is, life happens and things come our way that we cannot predict. And sometimes it knocks us back on our heels. But that doesn't mean God is finished. And you are such a great example of that. God had a calling on your life back there at the age of 14. Ugly things happen in life. And I love the way you put that. All of a sudden, that calling came back to you, but in a different way. And a lot of people might think, well, once you're divorced, you're disqualified from being a pastor, so you're useless now. But that's so not true. Because God has plenty of things for us to do in his kingdom work. And I'm so thankful that you responded to God's renewed call in your life. It kind of reminds me, and this kind of goes along with the Noah fish ship theme that we talked about earlier. Anybody can get involved in a Jonah experience. But God came to Jonah a second time and called him and said, look, Jonah, will you go to Nineveh? And so Jonah the second time said, yeah, I'll go. I've been through the fire now. So, I'll go and do what you said. And I don't know what God's motives were or what God's design was in taking you through all that. But all I know is God is a God of grace. And for him to put you back in the saddle, so to speak, and to use you like he's using you now, that's the kind of God that we serve. So I just want to say thank you for that story. That should be of encouragement to any of us. And I really, really appreciate that. Now, one of the things that people often struggle with is, okay, God's called me, and I feel like God's calling me to go to a racetrack and minister to gearheads. So how do I find my way into a speedway? Now, you had a lot of experience there with Rob Lee, and I really appreciate Rob and Kentuckiana Motorsports. Been familiar with him and known Rob through the years, and what a great job he did at Salem for many years. So you leave there and you head to Charleston. How did you work your way into the Charleston Speedway to get your ministry started there?
That's a God thing. We moved, we took on the church. The first church I had was in Tazewell, Indiana.
Okay.
And, we started there, and I was preaching. And a funny thing about God calling you, we were in Alabama at the time on a family trip, me and Shelby, with our two boys and a friend of ours. Their kid came with us, and we just found out that weekend that our daughter, that Shelby was pregnant. We were getting ready to have a little girl. We were excited, celebrating that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I get this phone call while I'm at the beach house, the condo there in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and they're needing a pastor at Tazewell Christian Church. And I said, well, I everybody that I know that can pastor your church, they're taken. There ain't nothing they're all, I said, I'll keep looking for you. And they called 2 or 3 times, and through that, Shelby goes, God's calling you to do this, literally calling you. You're telling me you don't feel called.
Yeah.
I said, well, I called him back. I said, well, look, I'll come and I'll preach for you, and I'll try to find you someone. That started a 2-year ministry there at Tazewell.
Okay.
And that got me my feet wet in the water, and
Yeah.
God knew what He was doing by putting me there. And I told Shelby, I said, I went from in 2000 just feeling called there to do it to 2022 is I want to do this full time. This is what I want to do.
Ah,
So he said, well, start sending your stuff out, your videos to places wherever, and just see what's out there. And that led us to Hidalgo, Illinois, to Faith Fellowship. We took that on in
okay.
2021. So we were there from, I guess it would have been 2022 all the way up to 21. 2020 to 21. There, Tazewell Christian or whatever. And
Okay.
we left there and we went to Faith Fellowship, and it was right there in Hidalgo, 30 minutes north. There's a speedway that I'm hearing about while we're at the church. We called at the beginning of the 2022 season, I guess it was, to Charleston, and like, oh yeah, we have different ministers that come in, but it never was a come see us,
Yeah.
invite.
Yeah.
So they didn't know us, we didn't know them. And then in 22, the door just shut at Salem for us. There was new track owners that came in. There was miscommunication on some things. I felt like that just needed that door shut. I was okay with
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
but I didn't know where we were going to go.
Yeah.
I called you and talked to you about it. They'd been giving me my name, and I didn't know what we would do.
Yeah.
And I just said, well, I'm going to call this track again. They don't have a chaplain. And I talked to Sonny Ross, who was the owner of it, and he said, well, you come, you visit us, and we'll let you try it out and see if it works for us and if
Okay.
it works for you. And he gave us till June to work that out, and we start racing in April. And by the time May run around, he said, now you're staying all year, right? So
Oh,
I knew that God had opened that door
yes.
immediately there for us
Awesome.
at Charleston. But we were worried about what we were going to do. That was another moment of, all right, God, you got me here. I know you're calling me to do it. This door's shut. You've got to open one, and I don't know where it's going to be at,
Yeah.
but I'm trusting you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it couldn't have went more smoothly of them shutting the door at Salem, because I don't know. I know at times, we get used to what we know.
Sure.
And
Sure.
and that was kind of a safety thing. We were at Thunder Valley Raceway there in Salem with when I was working with Rob. That door opened, and it lasted 2 seasons, and it went K-wire, and it shut the doors. The track shut down, and again, what are we going to do? 22, we were with Rob at Salem, so then we were driving. We were looking at this today. I wrote down 3 hours to the track from home in Illinois to Salem, and we were running. Then I don't know how many races we had that year. I'd have to look back. We've got it wrote down somewhere, but we were camping, sleeping on couches, doing whatever we could.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Back home, because we'd have racing Friday night at Thunder Valley, and then we'd turn around and we'd race at Salem on Saturdays, and then I would leave there at like 11, 12, depending on what was going on at the track.
Yeah.
And get home at 2 or 3 in the morning, and then preach the next morning.
Wow.
Like, we can't do this anymore. We've got to figure something out. So that door's shut, right?
Yeah.
God opened the one at Charleston, and man, talk about a ministry growing by just stepping through the door. This is our 3rd season at Charleston.
Oh, I didn't realize you'd been there for 3 years. Man, time flies.
It does. And man, the ministry has grown so much. God put us exactly where He needed us. And
Yeah.
there's no doubt about where we need to be. We've had other opportunities to go to other places, and it's assuring to know that we're where we need to be and where God wants us.
That is a
I'm
good
so
feeling.
thankful for that.
That is such a great feeling. Such a great feeling. Now, tell me a little bit about Charleston Speedway. I know it's kind of between Ashmore and Charleston there on Illinois 16. Now, if I'm going from here to Indianapolis, from Texas to Indianapolis, I would take Interstate 70. And I think it's at Effingham. Is Effingham where the big cross is there
Effingham's
off the
the
highway?
cross.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
if I were on the highway, I would get off at Effington and kind of head northeast from there, and that would put me near Charleston.
Well, you could
So,
actually go through Effingham's one spot you can get off on, but you can take the interstate 70 there all the way up to Greenup, Illinois.
okay.
Get off at Greenup and then get on 130 and just drive north.
Okay.
And it'll take you right into Charleston, Illinois. And when you come to
Okay.
the stoplight in Charleston, hang a right, go down past the Walmart. We're down there on your left.
Okay. All right. Now, I noticed on Facebook, they have like 15,000 followers on their Facebook page. So it's got to be a pretty popular track in that area. So tell us a little bit about the Charleston Speedway. What kind of car counts do you guys have? How many seats? Kind of paint the picture for us.
How many seats we have? We've got a really nice grandstand area. The grandstands at Charleston Speedway are covered. So a lot of people really like that. It gives you the old fairground feel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's something that's cool.
Yeah. I always hated it when they took away the awning at Darlington. Darlington Speedway used to have this big overhang there. And when they took that down, I thought, man, that was part of the history of that place. And I love Highland Speedway in Illinois. They've got that. There's a bunch of them that have that. I love that. So, those fans, when they head out to Charleston, they're going to be able to sit in the shade. That's cool.
Sit in the shade, man. It's awesome. It's a really cool vibe. Very family friendly. Again, the track owners, they're Christians.
Awesome.
Sonny Ross is a Christian, and that's part of the reason I really feel that we're able to do what we're able to do at that track and ministering to the people. The other thing about that is we run from the beginning of April all the way to the middle or end of October. We're at a racetrack somewhere.
Yeah.
Charleston Speedway runs to about the middle of October, and we run every Saturday. So we're able to build a relationship with those guys for an extended period of time that goes outside the track. We've done funerals, we've done baptisms, we've done weddings, hospital visits. Seen people get saved in their living room before they, while they were on their deathbed, that come to know Jesus. And we,
oh man. Those are the kind of things that people don't realize, that short track ministry, you're going to get involved in that sort of thing, the hospital visits and the funerals and all that sort of thing. But that's part of the beauty of it, is being able to build those relationships over a long period of time. That is so important. Yeah.
Well, I think it's key. I talked about how quick this ministry is growing.
Yeah.
And what is key to it, God's involved in it for sure. We know that.
Yeah.
The second thing is, it's really hard when you're only running, I think Salem this year's 12 or 13 events. It's real hard, and me and Mom were talking about this a little bit. It's real hard to build a lasting relationship, or harder, and done differently than it is every week that I'm at the track.
Yeah.
I get to know those drivers. I get to know their families. Having my wife at the track with me helps with that.
Yes.
It makes us more approachable. When the kids come, we got a little booth set up at Salem in the pit, or at Charleston in the pits, at Charleston Speedway, where we do a giveaway, and we got a little Plinko board or a game or something for the kids to do. And those kids look forward to coming up and seeing Shelby and the kids at the thing. I've got a little pop-up camper that if we're there too late, we need to crash, we can sleep in the camper,
Smart man.
Kids get restless and they want to go in there and sit down and eat. There's a place to eat.
Yes.
Take a nap if we need to.
Yeah.
Get out of the sun. It's nice having that. But I'm able to do these things again because we run every week.
Yeah.
It makes it nice. Now, that being said, it's a dirt track. We love dirt track racing.
Yeah.
But in Illinois, we have had a tremendous amount of rain. Running from the beginning of October to the middle, or from the beginning of April to the middle of October, we've ran 5 events this year. So it's been one rain after another rain out after another rain out.
Wow. Sounds like most of your ministry this year has been away from the track.
It has. We were talking about this Saturday. We're fortunate enough to race Saturday. Our car counts have been down this year. I think part of it is due to the rain.
Oh, yeah.
And people will run for a track champion. championship at a track somewhere.
Right.
So with us raining those events out, it's kind of twofold. It can help us and it can hurt us because other guys that would have been racing at Charleston may have went and ran at Red Hill, or they may have went and ran at Fairbury or wherever it may be that they're going to run, Farmer
Yeah.
City. There's several tracks in Illinois that we might have got poured down rain at Charleston and it would have been dry at another track.
Right.
So those guys are now running for championships at other tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that hurts us. This year our car count's down. We've been running an average of 70 to 80, whereas last year our largest count was 150. We ran out of transponders
Wow.
for the cars.
Wow.
And our lowest, I think, last season was 66 or 67 cars.
Yeah.
This past weekend, I forget what we were at, 70 or 80 maybe.
Okay.
And then, you know, but other tracks are hurting too because
Yeah.
the Prairie Dirt, the Prairie Dirt Classic, I think is what they call it there in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Still new to the area, but I know that's a very big dirt race
Mm-hmm.
that was going on. So some of our drivers were racing in that event.
Sure.
So they were gone. But another track in the area only had 30 cars.
Wow.
Saturday night. So we're doing good there with car counts.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've pastored churches for 50 years, and, you know, it's attendance is up and down. I mean, you know, sometimes you have seasons of time where you have great attendance, other times it slacks off, and you never know the reasons why. The important thing is that you're faithful and you're there. I mean, if you had 60 or 70 cars there this last weekend, God had 60 or 70 people there that needed you. And
Right.
he sees the big picture from his perspective, and we don't always see it. All we need to do is go and be faithful. So I appreciate you hanging in there for only 5 events for this year. And who knows, the weather may turn around. Y'all might be knocking the socks off of everything, you know, over the next few weeks. You never know. Well, listen, let me take just a minute here and pause. I want to show a couple of things to our viewers that we have. This new book that we have, Sundays at the Track, is a paperback book that we arranged to have printed from Baker Publishers, and it has 36 chapters in it of stories of faith and career pathway of a lot of NASCAR people, drivers, team owners, Joe Gibbs, executives, broadcasters, and other people. And if people would like to get a copy of the Sundays at the Track paperback book, they can go to our website at racewayministries.org to the resources page, and they can order copies there. And if you don't want to order a copy, you can make a donation to allow guys like Noah or some of our other chaplains to just hand that book out at the track without cost. And then also for you guys that might be at the short tracks, we have these stickers, the Racer's Prayer. And a lot of the racers like to put these on their roll cage or put it on the B pillar of their car or whatever. Some of them think it's a good luck charm, which we know it isn't. But anyway, it's a great way to reach out to the racers and kind of make a point of contact there. So if anybody would like some of these, you can get in touch with me, Roger Marsh 13 at gmail.com, and be happy to send them to you. I can send them to you for about 3 for $1 or something like that. So if you need any of those, Noah, I'll send you some. In fact, I'm going to send you a complimentary copy of the book for being on the episode this morning. I'll send you a stack of these things too. But if any of our people watching would like to have those resources, just be sure and get in touch with us. Now, the next thing I want to ask you, Noah, in light of what you told me about Charleston Speedway, just briefly tell me a day in the life of Noah Manship on race day. How does your day start? How does it unfold? What do you do at the track, et cetera, et cetera?
It's a family outing, you know.
Good.
With our ministry, I get in trouble if I go to the track without the kids, right? From the racetrack people and from my kids.
Yeah.
You know, they've been at the track since we had Randy and Elijah both within a month of being born at a racetrack. You know, they love it.
Yeah,
so,
good.
With that being said, we get up on Saturday mornings, ready to go. Cars sometimes loaded Friday night if we're lucky. If not, we're throwing everything in the car that we need Saturday before the track.
Yep.
open up, and we head out. And we get there. Pits open at 3 o'clock, so we're set up by 3 usually. Usually, unless something crazy happens, we try to get there at 3
Yeah.
and have our table set up. And cars start rolling in. They come up to our little table that we got set up with the giveaways. Everybody's kind of really like that. Uh, that was a way for us to be able to minister to our guys in the pits. We tried that on the grandstand side with the fans, and we prayed about that, and God just kind of led us away from that and back to where the drivers are. That's where we
Yeah.
needed to be.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if the ministry grows enough, we'll open it back to the other side.
Sure.
But it's where God wants us at right now. We're sure on that. Um, and we give away things from grills to snow cone makers to
Awesome.
toolboxes, whatever it may be, an adult prize and a kid's prize every week.
That's
And
good.
it's free, no cost. Now there's a bucket there. If somebody wants to make a donation to us, they're able to do that, but we don't ask for any of that.
There you go. Good.
So while that's going on, if we got enough help, because it is a team effort with Amazing Grace Ministries, Shelby's there running the table, manning the table. If something comes up and I need to go talk to a driver or a team, we're there to do that. You know, I'm available to go do whatever. So I'll leave the table and I've got somebody there manning it. And I say being available for anything, I find it quite funny that my wife's got a picture of it. We got porta potties in the area down there in the pits. Shelby likes to drive to the front side because she don't like using the porta potties. But she's sophisticated, I tell her. So we go in there, and somebody had went into the porta potty, one of the kids, and said, "That's a mess. So we can't go in there." And we hadn't been at the track very long, but somebody had gotten the poop all over the place in the porta potty.
Oh man. Oh.
So we got a hold of Sonny, and we ended up, me and him, gloving up and cleaning the porta potty because the porta potty it had to get cleaned. So we do everything from praying with drivers to clean up porta potties at the Charleston Speedway.
Oh man.
Wow. But being available, right?
Yeah.
So 3 o'clock they roll in, fans start getting there at 4, and the lineup. I figured this out at Thunder Valley. Salem, it can be done. It's a little different, but it can be done if you got 2 people there. Is these drivers love when I walk around the pits and talk to their families. They absolutely love being prayed with in the lineup shoot before they go out to their heat races.
Yep.
And our saying is, "Hey, I'm coming up to the car. If you don't want me to pray with you, fist bump me. If you want us to pray, pull me in. We pray."
That's good.
So
that's good.
Out of the 100+ cars that we get a week, there are 2 to 3 drivers that I know that prayer ain't their thing. They don't do it.
Right.
One of the families come up to me. They said, "We're great. We're glad that you're here, but it's just not our thing to do that. We don't do it. We respect you. So that family we wave at, we say hi. One of the things that we've added this year that's been crazy is victory lane interviews.
Okay.
Owner of the track come to me. He knows that I've done broadcasting. We broadcasted at Salem Speedway as their pit reporter for 95.3.
Okay.
I've done basketball, baseball, football. Racing is a blast. I love getting to call those.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed getting to go and do the interviews this year with the drivers. It made another connection with them. But we've had this respect thing for the drivers. So those guys that I know that don't want to pray with, I pray for them, right?
There you go.
And I know that we're available. On Mother's Day, we give out things to the moms. Father's Day, we give out things to the fathers.
Good.
I always go to their pits and we give them things. And when they win in Victory Lane, I'm there interviewing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Good.
But they know we're there. And we're good friends with them. No disrespect at all. That's just, we want to be there when they need us, And that's what God wants us to do.
Yep.
And we have been, like I said, being available is key. And so it starts at 3 o'clock or before 3 o'clock. And The other thing they do at Charleston, I don't know how a lot of other tracks do it. This is a little different, but we get our transponders in the pits, right? They come in, they check out the pits, they get their transponders at the end of the race with all those different drivers. In order to get their check, they have to turn their transponder in
Okay.
at the kitchen area, back behind the kitchen area. There's this building that's open, and that's where you turn the transponders in. So at the end of the night, I get done doing victory lane interviews. Shelby's closing the camper up and doing whatever we got on the back stretch. Manning that. I go straight into that area, put my microphone and all that up, and there's drivers coming in.
Okay.
We get to talk to them about how their night went. Sometimes we'll get out of there at midnight. Sometimes it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. But we're available for that time.
Yeah.
Usually the kids are in there helping put transponders up. But we find something for them to do.
Yeah.
But
good.
It has allowed us another opportunity. Like God's opened a door there to just be available.
Yeah. Well, you've already mentioned several things, Noah, that I think can be a great tip for some of our chaplains that might be watching. Doing the interviews in Victory Lane, that's got to be a lot of fun and a big relationship builder.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of the tent and the giveaways out there in the pits. I mean, when guys roll up with their race cars, a lot of them have their wives and kids with them. And, you got to keep them occupied while you're working on your car, getting it ready to hit the track. So what better thing to have than a table from the ministry where the kids can go and hang out and, have a good time and be entertained and that kind of thing. Great ideas. Now, I know you have a lot of experience, obviously, there at Charleston and at Thunder Valley, and then with all your experience there from Rob at Salem. And by the way, Ron Lastly, you know him, the pastor. Ron was the guy who first put me on to you. He said, hey, I know a guy named Noah Manship, and he's kind of looking for a place to serve away from Salem if you have any ideas. And I said, well, I'll sure pray about it. And so he was the first time I even heard of the guy that God appointed to man the ship. And so I'm sure Ron Lastly would love to be on the podcast this morning to interview and talk with you too. But anyway, that's another story. But what are some things that you have learned along the way? If you were to think of 3 things to tell an aspiring chaplain, or maybe a chaplain that currently is maybe struggling with being effective, or something like that, what are 3 essential things that you would say they need to keep in mind about racing and chaplain ministry in the midst of motorsports?
Well, God's put this on our heart too, is to bring up chaplains. Charleston Speedway is ready and available to train any chaplain that we have. We're willing. Our goal as a ministry is to book chaplains at these other Illinois tracks. We've seen strike just last year at Jacksonville Speedway, I think is the name of it, where they had a sprint car that throttle hung, went down, hit a guy in the infield, and he passed away. Right, and tragedy. They didn't have a chaplain at that track. People reached out to the family of the one that had passed away. He was a worker at the track, I believe, but the driver had nobody reach out to him. So our track owner knew him, and I got his phone number, and I reached out, and I said, we're here to pray with you. We're available, whatever you need. Well, through that, I saw a need. Got me out of my heart. We need to do this. But anybody that is aspiring to do that needs to know it's not about us. Don't make it about you, right?
Good.
That is a big thing that I see a lot of chaplains struggle with sometimes. Maybe not intentionally, but stay humble. It's not about what we're doing. Yeah. And we need to remember, so don't make it about you.
Yeah.
Stay focused. Like, you're going to have good days at the track. You're going to have bad days at the track. Remember why you're there. Stay focused.
That's good. That's good.
I had a great uncle, Uncle Bill, that I ministered to for years, that told us when he was on his deathbed that Christians were too tunnel visioned. It's okay to be tunnel visioned and to remain focused. I don't know if Uncle Bill ever come to know the Lord before he passed away. He knew what it took. He knew it, but I don't know that he ever made that choice. But through that, I've learned that we have to remain focused on what we're doing and why we're doing it. We can't sugarcoat it. We can't water it down. We don't beat people up with the Bible at the racetrack,
No,
but we show Jesus through who we are.
that's right.
And 9 times out of 10, those guys are going to come back to you and they're going to ask about it. That's been my focus in all my ministry that I've ever done.
That's good.
Remain focused, because I'll tell you this story really quick. I had a good friend of mine in high school. His name was Kyle. Kyle struggled with drugs in high school, pills and all this thing. And the pills and the marijuana and all the stuff that he struggled with in high school led him down a heroin addiction.
Oh, no.
And he got arrested and he was in jail and he got out. And he called me. This was at Tazewell Christian Church. He said, "I've been thinking about coming to church. I heard you're preaching there. I've been thinking about it." And I said, "Yeah, we'd love to have you, man, because I always knew you'd be a preacher." All those years ago when we were in high school. And in high school, I had the nickname Holy Boy. That was my DJ name. I took that on with great pride and honor because of a comment that a teacher made telling me to quit acting like one. That follows us, kind of like Linus with his blanket. He didn't care what other people thought.
Yeah,
that was his.
Yeah.
We own. So we own Jesus, right? Well, Kyle had contacted us about it, coming to church, never did. 2 days later, I got a phone call from my mom that they'd found Kyle at home. In his house. He'd overdosed on heroin and died.
Oh, my.
And I thought about that often, about we don't water down what we do.
Yeah.
So we stay focused with a purpose of knowing somebody
That's
can
good.
come to us through the way we live. And the third thing is, and it goes around kind of with the other one, being it's twofold here, is why we're doing it, we're making it about God, but be a team player, right? Don't make it about. Shelby's very involved with my ministry. Don't be afraid to hear what others have to say. Shelby's very good with telling me, "Hey, no, that we tried it. It didn't work. Let's go do something else," right? Like, we'll try it a different way. We're not giving up on it, but we're going to try it a different way and see how this works.
Yeah.
That's the great thing of being flexible,
Yes.
to try something new. Because if we're set in our ways as chaplains, right, and we're not willing to try something new, we're going to miss out, right? I mean, we know that.
Yeah.
If you're coaching a basketball team, right, and the plays you're running aren't running, you better figure out a different defense or you better figure out a different offense. You don't change the game plan. The game plan is to score baskets at the end of the game.
Exactly.
Our game plan is still may change a little bit, but our goal is to see people come to know Christ through it.
Right.
So that's the big thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Those are great insights, Noah. And sounds like things that God has taught you along the way with experience. I love this last point that you made about being a team player. We just don't do it alone. I've learned from racing, anybody that stands in victory lane, they didn't get there by themselves,
Nope.
And if it's a good, mature driver that knows his stuff, he's going to stand there on the microphone and give credit to the engine builders and the sponsors and everybody else, knowing it's a team effort. And that's true in ministry too. And
think outside the box.
What's that?
Outside the box.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. Me and Ron, you mentioned Ron a minute ago, we talked, he said, it's changed a lot, since when you started doing the ministry and how their approach is. And we, thinking outside the box leads to some amazing things, being a team player. And Shelby says I come up with some crazy things, and I do. Sometimes the Lord just puts something on my heart. So I'll call up Sonny, our track owner, this week. I called him up. And I said, I know God's got some big plans for us. And he's kind of given me reign to do what we want, just to not do anything.
Yeah, right.
Just realize you're responsible for it, right? So we're going to have, I've not got this out yet, but for 2025, God's got some big plans. One thing's bringing music to the track at Charleston
Okay.
Speedway.
Yeah.
We have some bands coming. We got some heavy metal band that's a Christian
Okay.
band
Good.
called Chip Seal that's going to come play. But this week, the Lord put on my heart. I still don't know why we're doing it. It sounds crazy, but I think we're working on pep band night at the racetrack with the high school bands that are in our area
Okay.
coming and doing our national anthem before the race.
Yeah.
They're sitting in the stands and playing pep band music leading up as the fans are coming in.
That's awesome. I don't know of any other place that does that. So everybody ought to flock to Charleston to watch that happen.
It'll either work or it'll be a disaster, but we tried it, right? It's thinking outside the box to get people with the track and to be able to share Christ with them. So,
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And if the band kids come, some of the parents are going to come.
Right.
So, man, pack the place
work.
out and share Jesus with them. That's awesome.
It'll work or it'll be a disaster. We're not sure which.
I'm sure you'll find out. Well, Noah, it has been such a joy to visit with you this morning. I got to admit to you, I got up at 5:30 this morning, and as I looked out the window, the sun was coming up here at 6:30. I thought, man, this is early for a podcast interview. So I hope I can wake up, but it's been a lot of fun, and talking to you has really helped me to start my day with a lot of joy. So thank you for the interview, and thank you for who you are, and thank you for what you have opened up your life to let God do. And I think any of our people who are watching that may be thinking about, can God really use me? Can God help me to pick up the pieces of my life and put it into a sense of purpose and do something for Him at a place like a racetrack? And you have answered that question strongly. The answer is yes, no doubt. Yeah. So thank you so much. Any final words before we shut things down here?
Well, I want to thank you, Roger, for what you guys do for us local short track guys, right? God gives us dreams and goals, and I think that's all right.
Yeah.
Being an Indiana boy, I've got a go that's always been on my heart, the thing that I want to do. But it's always been, and it's changed over the years, that the only way I want to achieve that goal is if I'm doing what Christ wants us to do. Yeah. And that goal would be to be able to call the Indy 500 for radio one of these days.
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah.
It would be. And God's opened some doors, and we've had some opportunities to do some of the broadcasting while we're doing ministry work. And not saying it ain't out of reach. It's something we could still possibly have happen. But we lead where God leads us, and if there's anybody that wants to know about our ministry, we've got a Facebook page, Amazing Grace Ministries. Yep. They're on Facebook, and we'd love to hear from you. And if you know of any aspiring chaplains in the Illinois area, or that want to come and see a race weekend to see what we're about, reach out to us. Even if you just want to see what our ministry is and there's people curious about it, reach out to me and we'll walk you through it.
What's the best way to contact you?
Facebook.
Okay, really? Just hop on Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and get in touch with you. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's usually the best way, and I'll get back a hold of you. But we'd love to see that. We love to share what we're doing. Maybe there's a chaplain out there that just wants to see how we do things. Yeah. Come hang out with us on a Saturday night.
All right.
There's plenty of them as long as it ain't raining.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Well, thank you for that invitation. And I pray that there might be somebody out there watching or listening today that might take you up on that. One of the things that we really find as a challenge is putting chaplains in place at some of the speedways. I know our friends up in Wisconsin, Minnesota are constantly telling us that they really have a need for chaplains up there. And with all the racing that goes on in Indiana, I'm sure there are tracks that need chaplains. So if anybody out there knows of someone that's interested in that, contact Noah, Amazing Grace Ministries. Now, the name of your Facebook page is Amazing Grace Ministries?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
Right. And then you can look me up on Facebook as well. My Noah Manship.
Yeah, Noah Manship. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. And I'll put up here on the video the name of the Facebook page and all that. I'll put a banner up there so people can know what that is. But Noah, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you. Love what you have going on. Thanks for being an inspiration. Thank you so much for following God's calling and doing the work out there. And we pray that God will stop the rain and give y'all more opportunities to get with it there at Charleston.
One other thing,
Okay.
Before we leave, I'll say this. This week we lost Hulk Hogan this past week.
Yeah, we did.
And we were talking with somebody at the racetrack about it this week, and I was a big WCW wrestling fan when I was a kid. My dad took me to the live events.
Yep.
We've seen Hogan fight, and that was pretty cool. But what was awesome was that when I went back and I heard an interview this week with him that he'd done, and he said, he got saved in the baptism stuff. He says, I just tell my big God about my little problems.
Yeah.
And,
That's good.
That's what it's about, So we're pretty excited to see him get saved.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Know where he's at today.
Yeah.
But we want to have that kind of legacy left behind when we leave.
Yeah. Well, what a goal. That's such a great legacy to leave behind. And God's put some good stuff on your heart. And I'm sure God's going to continue to use you to make that very thing happen in people's lives, Noah. So thank you so much. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode today in our Raceway Ministries Today podcast. So thank you all for watching and listening. Thank you, Noah, for being a part of it. And if any of you would need to have more information about Raceway Ministries, obviously you can go to our website, racewayministries.org. And of course, there at the website, you can find how to get a copy of the book Sundays at the Track and other information about what we do at the NASCAR and IndyCar speedways, as well as short tracks all across America. So contact us there. Follow us on Facebook, Raceway Ministries, or Raceway Ministries at the Weekly Short Track. And be sure and follow Noah on his Facebook page, Amazing Grace Ministries, or you can contact him through his own personal Facebook page, Noah Manship. So that concludes our episode today. Just be sure and remember that if you're out there on the road course of life and need some guidance, need some hope, need forgiveness, you can always contact the Lord Jesus Christ through prayer. Ask him into your heart and invite him into your life, and he'll change your life forever. So with that in mind, hope everybody has a great day, and we'll look forward to next time here at Raceway Ministries Today. Well, thanks so much for tuning in for today's podcast. We'll look forward to having you join us for the next edition of Raceway Ministries Today.